I thought quite disappointed in this match as well, to be perfectly honest with you. And he's such an interesting player because we've seen him. He can take on two or three players at a time, and at times in this game he would just pick up the ball in the middle of the park and run with it and just kind of drift by players. And he was reminiscent of Pulisic or Jude Bellingham or Erling Haaland, where he's just kind of eating up land and just kind of running through players and getting into the opposing box. And you could see how much that was exciting in the stadium whenever he did get on the ball. But, and this is something we've spoke about before, he does kind of lack that kind of end product. And it felt to me like it's really something that's beginning to become more and more noticeable with every passing game, particularly with Kovac, since Kovac is obviously one who's noticed that himself because he hasn't started Gittens. I think he's been dropped for the last two games and Maximilian Bayer's come in there. But I was actually looking at Gittens' stats before we started recording here, and he only made one key pass in this game, didn't make a single cross throughout the entire match, and he actually lost the ball more times than any other Dortmund player on the night. And then when you kind of take a look at his stats, obviously over in general, he's got just 4 assists in 37 games for Dortmund this season, but 11 goals. So that obviously says to me, and anyone who watches Dortmund and anyone who's watched Jamie Gittens for 5 minutes will be able to see this immediately. He's not a winger. He's a player who wants to be cutting inside. He wants to be running at the box on his own, and he's got glory in his eyes and he wants to score that goal. That's fine. But the problem is that I think it does have a detrimental effect on the way that Dortmund create chances and the way that they actually hold on to the ball in the final third. Because if you've got a guy on the left wing who just picks up the ball and runs at defenders and tries to score every time he gets it, it means 9 out of 10 times he's going to lose that ball and the opposing team are going to be able to counter-attack and get back up the pitch. And so it felt like to me in this game, Guirassy was completely isolated because Gittens wasn't providing the service for him. And it also felt to me like Dortmund couldn't control the match because Gittens kept giving away the ball. Yes, Adeyemi scores like a wonder goal from a set piece, but in general, the chances they created in the second half and the first half were just few and far between, to be honest. And it wasn't surprising to me at all. He was the first player that got brought off just after the hour mark for Maximilian Bayer. So I don't want to maybe kind of make too much of it because he's still a young player. He's got a lot to learn, and I think he will learn. He's going to become a great player. But I think it's interesting. We've got a Dortmund coach here who knows that because he has chose not to start him in a number of the games since he took over. And he starts him in this game and we see the same problems again. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how Kovac approaches Gittens going forward because he's obviously very good at certain things, but he might be having a detrimental effect on those forward players around him in this system.